Hello, welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. As always, I'm joined by with Pato and Daffy. How are we, boys?
Good, mate.
Good, mate.
That's the way. Not give me much there. Good stuff. All right. Obviously, we are previewing the not so mighty Crows clash this Saturday, 7:30 p.m. If Marvel Stadium is our fortress, or at least as of late this year in particular, then what's Adelaide Oval, boys? We've played there 5 times, lost all 5. We've only played the Crows there once, lost by 55 points. 3 of the other games, we lost by over 90 points. And one, it was all right. It was an honourable loss by 16 points. But I think the average there is about 70, 80 plus, so at least. So what's the reason for that? Just because we've been a shit side for a long time, Ethan?
Yeah, simple as that. And like Voss said, there's this year's going to be a few transformational moments, and we've had a few of those. Plenty of hoodoos been broken, so I think we break another one this weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, that started right at the start of the year in round 1. That was probably the biggest hoodoo that we've broken all year coming round 1. Pato?
Oh, I just think that we just need to try and just lock our final spot. I know that it's a big chance this week. I know that we responded. I mean, we played well last week against the Giants in the second half especially, but I think it's a good chance because I know that later on we're probably going to touch on it, but I think if we win this game, I'm pretty sure we're pretty much locked in. So it's a big chance for the Blue Baggers, and let's hope the Blue Baggers can get it done. But a little bit worried just because Adelaide have been pretty good at Adelaide Oval this year.
Absolutely. It is always more of a challenge playing in there. Of course, as we mentioned last week, playing GWS, playing the Crows, now we're starting to play these double-up teams. Last time we met, obviously, was recently this year in May. We won quite convincingly, 116-68. We'll move on to the Crows anyway, just as a whole. How do you see their year so far? What are they, third last, I think, at the moment, Pato? Are they better than third last, Pato?
I just think just the competition, other than probably West Coast and North Melbourne, I think the competition is actually pretty even. Of course, Adelaide probably are better than a third last or fourth last side, but I think they've actually kind of improved this year. They've just got quite stiffer, like especially last week. We saw them just lose again. 2 weeks ago, just lose against the Pies. So they've taken up to some pretty good sides. And of course, last year they beat Melbourne when they was probably starting to actually show their comeback sort of. But I think they've got some young talent. They've got some older talent. Of course, they're playing without their skipper, Rory Sloane. So other than that, I think they're pretty solid. But if we really are serious, I think we should get this job done.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Heath, how do you rate the Crows, mate?
Yeah, I've always liked the Crows. I've always respected the Crows and the way they go about it, especially during those years where they were pretty good with Eddie and when they were clicking. Even in their 2010s and that, they were pretty good with the big Birdman Burton, or whatever his name was, up forward. He used to fly for marks, take hangers on Brenny Thornton's shoulders. But no, I think the Crows, I don't know. Me personally, don't rate them. Just the way, obviously they're in a rebuild, but they're in a bit of a weird position where their average age is actually older than ours. Just due to their veterans, some of their veterans still playing with Tex, who I think's a vital part of their side, especially right now. Because if they didn't have him, they have that Fogarty, who's a bit, up and down as a forward for a guy who should probably be, get going at his age. He's not too young, and he's should be hitting his peak like a Harry. But they're young. They got some stars. Obviously, Laird, like we touched on before we started, is a good player. I think he had 20 tackles last week or something like that. So, it's not a danger game. We don't have any more danger games. I don't think we can put that word out anymore. But as Pato said, get the job done.
Well said, mate. You mentioned a few players there, each of you, but who do we need to look at for the most? Are we really concerned about anyone in particular, maybe a Laird or something, Pato? Or?
Yeah, I think it's got to be probably Rory Laird. I think his leadership qualities this year especially have been fantastic. Like, I think as soon as Sloane went down, they needed Laird to step up. And I know that Adelaide haven't been overly great this year, but I think he's probably stepped out. he's kind of gone another level, especially with moving back into the, moving into the midfield from the halfback position. So as Duff said, like 20 tackles last week or 2 weeks ago against Collingwood, like that's a record. So he's obviously broken the record with that. So he's a gun of a player. And also a guy, I don't know if he has been playing the past few weeks, but he's had a pretty good season, which is Brodie Smith. I think he's a pretty solid player. But other than that, if he is playing, I think he's a threat, but I don't think there's really many other players that really can take the game away from us.
Well said, mate. Ethan, any players you worried about? Tex Walker, Rory Land, mate?
Yeah, Tex for me. I think he's I think he's still very good. If we just can't let him go. I think there was a few times in that game earlier in the year where he kind of had Wiedering's number a little bit. I know he didn't kick a bag of goals, but he missed a few and had a few chances. So we've just got to minimise him having chances because he's going to kick his 1 or 2 goals. So just don't make that turn into a 5 or 6 because that could really change the game.
Before we go into the potential changes, we'll just look at who's actually available for selection this week through injury. And Wiedering and Walsh both pulled up okay, which is good. We expect both of them, obviously, to make the trip to South Australia. Jack Martin will continue to train fully this week. It is currently a test to be available. No joke there, Ethan. I thought there might have been a joke coming about how he's always a week away, mate.
Yeah, he's always a week away, Jackie Martin.
But this time, hopefully, he's only a week away because I think he is definitely an important player to our side. Matthew Always trained fully this week and is expected to be available. Jack Carroll managed and will fully train this week and he's also expected to be available. I don't think he'll play. Hewitt is currently being assessed on a week-by-week basis and will not play this week. Ethan, who's coming in from that list, mate, and who's making way?
I'll have to follow Riley Beveridge from the AFL.com, and I believe that Pito will come in. It's going to be a massive in for our team and our structure. I think he's a big figure and he can really dominate a game, especially in those first 5 rounds where he was playing. I've got Owies coming in. Obviously, if fit, he seemed to have a few times where he was in and had a few calf issues. So hopefully Matty's fit and gets going. And for mine, they'll replace Honey and Motlop.
Beautiful, mate. Come on, Pato. Give me something different. Don't go with the same. Make a big selection call. Who's getting dropped? Come on.
Oh, I mean, you're probably on the spot here because I've actually written down exactly. I mean, I wasn't even looking at Riley Beveridge. No, I'm kidding. I feel like Riley Beveridge is probably the expert. But yeah, I think he's absolutely spot on with that. I initially had Pitnet probably just coming in and always maybe having a week in the VFL, but I kind of thought about it and I'm like, God, I love Owies. Like, I just love his energy. And I think Motlop probably had a little bit of an off week. And now we're kind of trying to experiment what our final side will be. And if we do get there, and now's probably the time, we can't really gift games anymore. So I think, I hate to say I love them both, but I think Honey and Motlop are both out. And of course, Pitnen always coming in. But other than that, I don't think anyone else will really get dropped because I think we're all pretty good last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said, mate. So you said we're all pretty good. So Setterfield, you're happy with his performance. And, of course, with Hewitt not coming back in, he's expected to keep his spot, Pato?
Yeah, I think Setterfield was fantastic last week. I think we've spoken about it the past few weeks. He's not a VFL player. And it will be fascinating to see actually what happens when Hewitt does come back in, what they actually do with Setterfield. Because, of course, they have Cottrell and O'Brien both playing. They're all playing pretty good footy. So it's a great problem to have. I know that I haven't said that in a while, but it is a great problem to have for the Carlton Footy Club.
with that, you look at that and you go, geez, if Setterfield's getting dropped, it's a good sign. Yeah. It's a very, very good sign. I think it probably is a possibility next week. Or depends when George comes back. They might try and give Setters a few games in the ones and just rest Georgie for a bit, but I'd imagine they'd want to get Georgie back a couple of weeks before the finals just to get him raring and ready to go.
Absolutely, mate. Well said. Let's since you have the microphone already, let's keep going into some matchups.
Yep, the microphone. I've got the microphone. We'll just go straight into the key matchups. We touched on a few of these players earlier on players to watch. We'll start off with Tex Walker, obviously being the star for them for the last decade or so. Really good forward. Still, and a great leader for them on the field. Maybe not so much off the field in the last few years, but a big matchup is Taylor Walker against Jacob Wiedering, who I thought really stepped up last weekend. Obviously, they are a lesser team, the Giants, but you've still got they've still got some good forwards in, Toby Green and yeah, that's probably about it. But what do you reckon about what do you reckon about this matchup, Pato?
I think with Walker, I mean, as you said, he's been a very solid player for many years. Yeah, I think he's been okay this year. I know that I don't want to say much of it. I don't really want to say that I don't rate him, especially this year, because I think he's the type of guy that if he has been a little bit down in form, he can come back within a heartbeat and kick 5 in a game. But I think, as you said there, Wiedering, it was good that he had a good performance last week, because we spoke about it against the Cats. He wasn't great, and I know that he's starting to warm himself back into it. But I think last week was good, but also the personnel wasn't really there. So it will be a test this week. But also with the other defenders, maybe Young might go to a Fogarty. I don't know, but yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens.
No, it will be interesting. They've got a pretty dynamic forward line, the Crows. I don't mind their forward line. They probably just need to add a few more kind of A-grade players, but they've got a few different bits and pieces. Sammy, what do you reckon about this matchup?
Yeah, I really rate Tex Walker. Kicked 2 goals against us last time, and yeah, if he gets space, I think he's honestly one of the better kicks. Like, when he kicks the ball, he's one of the better kicks in the AFL. Just looks so nice and so complete. But yeah, great player. And look, he may kick a couple, but I think realistically, the amount of times they get it in there, I think our defence will hold it up pretty well, and I do expect us to win quite convincingly, which we'll go to later on. But look, he may get a couple of goals, but I think it'll be to no avail.
Yep, no, I agree, mate. Just for mine, I think our back six as a whole have been fantastic to be able to, cope with these superstar forwards. It's not just rely on a Wiedering, although that might be the one-on-one matchup. You can rely on the back six, and obviously Gov coming in is huge for that as well. Can cut off leading lanes and leading patterns for guys like Walker. So we'll move on to the midfield, and these are 2 very, very good midfielders in form as well. Rory Laird, who's probably been their best player this year, probably BNF winner, I'd imagine, coming up against Sammy Walsh, who could be BNF winner for us as well. So it's a pretty good matchup. 2 kind of inside and out mids. They can use the ball well, but also get in there and get the hard ball. Pato, what do you reckon about this matchup?
Yeah, I'm quite nervous, to be honest, because, I mean, as we spoke about before, I think Laird's probably the only real shining light for the Crows this year, alongside maybe a Tex Walker. But I think Walsh is up to it. It will be. I'm just a little bit nervous to see how he will go, especially after the injury last week. I know that we've said that he's trained all week and he's all good to go, but the real way to really see how he actually goes is playing on the weekend in a match. So, I mean, I'm confident. I don't think they would risk a guy like Sam Walsh, especially around finals time. So, yeah, I think Walshy's got this covered.
No, I agree. Knowing Walshy, I think he could be on for a 40 this week. So, Sammy, what are your thoughts on the matchup?
Yeah, it's a good matchup. Laird's a great player. I think, BNF winner quite easily, I reckon. He had, 33 disposals last time he played, which for they got smashed in the end by, 50 points, whatever it was. But, 33 disposals, 7 tackles, 8 clearances. He's easily their better player. So I think he played very well. As on Walsh, is there any? To me, that was just a rolled ankle last week. I'm not a doctor, but looking at it, I don't know. He even said after the match he probably put a bit of carry on there or something like that. But he's a tough bloke. But I expect him to be up and roaring, and 40 disposals on the cards, I reckon.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, I think they'll try and minimise Walsh's impact and Cripps' impact. So it'll be interesting to see what role Laird has on the weekend. We'll move on to the ruck contest like we do every week. And, you look at it, is Pitto in? Is he not in? I'm just going to talk about maybe as a duo. We'll put them as a duo for now. I think Pitto is pretty much in this week. So Pitto and Teddy K against Riley O'Brien. And I'm not sure who the second ruck is for them, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not sure. Might be just kind of a pig shit kind of Silvani type, maybe tall forward. I'm not really sure, to be honest. But Pato, how do you reckon the duo of Pito and Teddy K will go?
I'm excited. I really am because I know that we've spoken about it probably pretty much every week that Pitnet's kind of meant to be coming back, and I know that we've kind of missed his versatility, I guess, with a different ruck tap, because Teddy K, we all know that he's a different type of ruckman. Not many in the competition can do what Teddy K can do. And Pitnet's probably your more traditional sort of ruckman that we've kind of known over the past few years. But I know that we've kind of spoken about Pitnet being related to the big house, Brandon Bruce last week. But other than that, I don't really know who they would kind of get through as the ruck. I know that probably like a Riley Thilthorpe. He's probably one of the guys that will probably go into the ruck, but I don't like he's kind of more as a forward. He's known as probably more as a forward. So other than that, I think we should. I really do hope Pitnet's back in because I really think we can win that area of the game. But I think if Thilthorpe is through the ruck, I think Pitnet should get that done.
Yeah, and obviously Riley O'Brien being, I think, probably one of their better players the last few years. I think he dropped to the twos after Teddy K gave him a bath, which was one of the weirdest droppings I've ever seen. And he actually had 34 touches in the twos and like 50 hit-outs or something. So he made sure he wasn't dropped ever again in his career. Sammy, how do you reckon the duo will go of the King and the Pit?
Yeah, and just about that getting dropped to the Sandful, he and getting the 50 hit-outs, whatever he got, he was pretty consistent with that, with 51 hit-outs last week by the looks of it against the Swannies. I didn't watch the game, but that's what I'm reading here. That is quite crazy. Is there a need for a second ruckman when he's winning 51 hit-outs? But anyway, Thilthorpe was the other option there. But do we bring in two rucks? Are they needed for this week, or is it a case-by-case thing? I think we'll probably bring them in. I think Pito's going to be a huge inclusion, and I think we'll definitely watch our hit-outs rise. And no disrespect to TDK, have discussed how they're different ruckmen, but our hit-outs will definitely be above average this week if Pito plays. And not only hit-outs, the hit-outs to advantage, which will give our mids excellent purchase on the ball. And I think Charlie could be on for another 6 if they get it in there to him. But look, it depends who plays. TDK versus O'Brien. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, but I think Pito will come in and will win quite convincingly. No disrespect to O'Brien, he's a great player.
Yeah, no, he is a good player. He gets the job done, but I think these two guys are probably the most dynamic duo, apart from probably Gawn and Jackson. Just being two guys who are probably number one rucks at most clubs. And obviously they're a duo, and Teddy Cooper has to be the second ruck. So I'm just interested to see how he goes up forward, because, geez, he can rise at the footy. And, if Harry's down a little bit or Harry's on the bench, I think they'll rotate. The way they did it in the first 5 rounds is I found it very intriguing how that worked out. You'd always have at least 2 of them there. Or Charlie or Harry, who definitely can push up the ground. Even Tommy can push up the ground. Yeah. They've all got the aerobic capacity to do that. So we'll move on to up forward for us. Obviously, Big H. Obviously, Kerner had a big game against them last time, kicking 6, had 21. Absolute domination against the Crows at the Fortress we call now as Marvel Stadium, Fortress of the Mighty Blues. We'll focus on Big H because I think he could have a big game. Sorry about the Facebook notification. But the player that I talked about earlier, Jordan Butts, being a quite serviceable and good defender for the Crows this year against Big H. What do you reckon about this matchup, Pato?
Yeah, I know that we spoke about Butts, but I think he was probably more on Charlie Kerner last time that we played, and I know that he kicked 6, and so I think it's quite stiff on him because there's really no one else really down there to really help. I think the other key back is probably classified as Brodie Smith, and he's not a key back, so it's quite stiff because I probably don't have many players. And this is probably I know that last year we were talking about maybe getting a guy like Daniel Talia, and I think he would be a pretty solid player to be down there right now. But I think right now Harry Mackay, I think it's a big opportunity for him. He's been building past few weeks, but just very quickly on TDK, I'm so excited to see that trio down there, and also to add in Sauce, like just seeing Sauce just playing as a forward. And I can't wait to see it, because I know I was so excited, especially round one, seeing it for the first time, seeing Pitt and TDK together with Harry Mackay, Charlie Curto, and Sauce all down forward, and also adding TDK. I'm really excited to see that. And to be honest, I reckon this is a big, big chance for us to just start to get a few weeks together with that forward line. And yeah, hopefully really, really dominate these games, and just look forward to September.
No, I agree, mate. And they're all coming back at the right time, because we've really allowed ourselves through that middle part to really weather the storm and kind of go half and half with wins and losses, which was huge, because some clubs really struggled with that this year, especially, Saints having a few up and down. They were very down a few times in that middle part. That's where you make finals. Sammy, how do you reckon Big H will go this weekend, mate?
Yeah, well, we said, I think one of you guys just mentioned Jordan Butts is serviceable. It takes a lot more than serviceable to keep the two best forwards in the game down. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. Harry will, kick a few. Charlie, look, I want to speak about Charlie for a second. I know you said Harry, but just on Charlie, and I was comparing to last year, right, when Harry Mackay won the Coleman, was bloody fantastic. That was all everyone talked about throughout the whole year, because he had nothing else to fucking celebrate. But this year, it's barely been spoken about that Charlie Coleman is, Charlie Coleman works out well.
Hey!
Charlie Curnow for the Coleman is 5 goals ahead at the moment, a few games to go. Not a lock by any stretch, but he's definitely a short price favourite at the moment to lock that up. And no one's talking about it, because there's so much bigger fucking things happening at this club, which to me is just absolutely fantastic. But yeah, to Charlie to come back off, multiple injuries or whatever and win the Coleman, or even just be up there in the top 2 or 3 is a great achievement. But look, Harry and Charlie to combine for 10, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Sally Carlton says it. We'll remember this and chuck in the next video when it happens. I agree. I think it could be a huge one, a bit like West Coast. I'm smelling a bit of a West Coast game about.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point.
I'm smelling I reckon the first quarter could be a massive first quarter. Because I reckon Adelaide Oval might suit us a little bit. I just like, I don't know, obviously it hasn't suited us over the past few years, but obviously no ground really suited us from 2016 to probably 2021. So that's it for matchups. Just quickly on that point where we're actually playing footy and we give a fuck at round 20. There's no more dead rubbers. There isn't a dead rubber. We are not going to have a dead rubber game this year. And this week is the biggest game to just lock it up, and then you hit those good clubs in the last 3 rounds. And, you never know. You could be in the top 4. That's how tight this year is. Really, very, very tight.
Absolutely, mate. Well said. There's no Cruiser Cups or anything anymore, or tanking. Not that we would have ever done that. Certain other Melbourne clubs obviously did, but we would never do that. Just on that as well, just on potential ins and outs. Obviously, we're saying Pitnet and Noe to replace Honey and Motlop. You probably look at that and go, Pitto's so tall and these guys aren't as tall. I don't think there's an issue there. I think the fact that Pitto coming in for one, Sauce will not have to go into a ruck contest for the whole match, which means he goes straight down the forward line or wherever, and which I think is going to be just fantastic for mine. When you got Harry, Charlie, does sound quite tall, I know, but like Jack, TDK flowing through there. How's that going to work, Ethan? Who are the small forwards going forward for the remainder of this year and then into next year? If all them players I just mentioned are playing, how do you see it developing, mate?
Just based on our kind of system and structure at the beginning of the year, obviously that's improved and evolved due to players being out. But I think you can afford to have Dirds and who's the other small? Always as the smalls, because it was Jack Silvani. His pressure is much better than most small forwards in the competition. So it really is a very tall forward line, but fuck, it's an exciting prospect. And as an Adelaide supporter or any team in the 8 currently, you'd be worried for us to come up against you in a final, because that lineup, they can do anything really.
Yeah, you got TDK flying for marks, the half forward, whatever, slotting them from wherever or getting them in there at least. Silvani run down. I saw people talking in the certain group chats or whatever about Silvani playing on the wing, I just don't think that's even remotely plausible. There's so many other players to play that role, and Silvani, I'm not going to say he's not fit because he's an AFL footballer, he's an athlete, but I don't think the wing's really his forte in terms of running and all that. But look, I think the pressure he does put on is going to be immense, and to have one or two small forwards like such as a Durden and a Motlop or even probably an Owies will complement that very well. Pato, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think with Sauce, I think it's a big opportunity, especially for him, because I think it's good for him because he can, like, he's that guy. Like, yes, he's tall, but he can be that guy that he can be that pressure forward. Like, he can probably be that Jack Martin sort of player. Like, yes, he's a little bit taller, but he's pressure. And we got forwards like Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow, and they aren't your usual forwards. They aren't your usual key forwards like your Tom Hawkins. They chase, and we spoke about it during the year. Harry Mackay's probably one of the quickest players in Carlton, and up there for quickest players in the AFL. So, and he's a key forward. So obviously, if he can try and improve with his pressure, tackles, 1%ers, all that, I think it's great to see. I think it will be great to see, especially with Harry trying to lift. But just very quickly with Zach Fisher, I thought I would mention him as well because he won't get that midfield time with George Hewitt coming back. So that is another asset for the forward. And I think it will be great for him because, and I personally, I don't see a guy like Jack Martin coming back in because with Pitney coming back, Teddy K going forward, I don't see a Jack Martin coming in. So I think it's great that we can have a guy like Zach Fisher coming back into this forward line.
And just quickly on that, you've got even more problems when Zach Williams gets fit and you got Jordan Boyd, who has a chance. Like, really, it's going to be tougher spots, and some bloke's going to be left out. But that's footy. That's a good football side. We don't have to play guys like Darcy Lang and fucking Nick Graham anymore. So good.
Players.
Or Alex Fasolo. It's definitely what I'm looking forward to at the end of this year after we hold up the Premiership Cup is just going through our best 22 and our 2022 going into 2023 because there's so many players this year that weren't necessarily we're going to get D-list, I won't say that, but they were just not the players they are now. There's so many players to put in this team. And look, I think us three could make a best 22 and there'd be at least 5 differences on there at least because there's that many players, if fit, of course, there's that many players vying for different positions. It's hard to see whether they all fit, but look, realistically, if everyone fully fit next year, seniors this year, but VFL even for next year. If we get everyone fit, we can get the double done. Seriously, we have a lot of great players. Under the pump, we'll go to now. Pato, you're the only one with something written down on the sheet, mate. So we'll go to you first.
Yeah. So obviously, as we just spoke about, player of last week was my under the pump. So maybe I should pick a player. I know that I'm probably throwing myself under the firing line each week, but I've gone the whole side. I know that we won by 40 points, as we just touched on just then, but I think it's a big chance for them to get this finals lock. I know that we've spoken about it the past two weeks. I think Daffy mentioned it. And if we get this done early, we know that we're going to play finals. This is when we can kind of move on to really challenging these top sides like Melbourne and Brisbane and even Collingwood. I'd say it, but Collingwood being in there. So other than that, I think it's a big chance. And I just saw Daffy Boys under the pub, so I'll move on to him.
I like this one. Go with. I like this.
Yeah, so it's probably been all those, to be honest. Drinking the pain down, or I think, if we win, under the pump for mine is Adelaide nightclubs and bars, especially, is it Henley Street or Hindley Street? One of them, probably the only street in Adelaide that actually.
You know, mate, you are the nightclub expert. Don't act like you don't know.
Hey!
I don't know, mate, but Adelaide nightclubs and bars, they're going to be under the pump. The blue bag, the blue arm is going to take it over. Especially if we lock up.
Maybe I should get down to Adelaide. Maybe I should get down to South Australia.
Down.
It sounds like that's like party, mate. Baggage chat.
It's a big trip if you're going down to get to Adelaide.
Baggage chat meet and greet at the Adelaide Revolver.
Adelaide Revolver, this guy. He knows everywhere in Adelaide.
It's not even a place. It's not even a place. I just made it up.
Oh no. Look, that's probably the better under the pump I've heard in the last 2 years, and it's hard to really put anything down that even goes close to that. Of course, yeah, as we mentioned, Ethan and myself are making the trip separately, not together. We're not that close, but we will be making the trip to Adelaide and staying the night there. I booked a hotel for me and the missus. I did look at some of the camps, but I've heard the camps in Adelaide aren't too good. So yeah, we'll be staying at a hotel. Let's get on to the match predictions, Pato.
I mean, it's called Adelaide for a reason, boys. But we'll move on. We'll move on to the course match predictions. But yeah, I've gone first goal, Harry Mackay. I think it's a big chance for him to get going. I think I've had Harry Mackay probably the most for first goal this year. And the times that I haven't picked him, he's hit the first goal. So maybe I'm a little bit of a bad luck charm there, but we'll move on. So of course, best on ground. I've got Mitch McGovern. I think it's a chance for him, especially against his old side. I'm going exact stats, 10 intercept marks, 15 touches, and I would love to see a goal off the half-back flank because he hasn't really had a game against Adelaide. Like, yes, he has played against them, but he hasn't had a dominant game when he's kind of been fit. So it's a big chance for him, man, especially with that new position. How good would that be to see at Adelaide Oval? His old home to kick a goal off half-back would be terrific to see. And I've got the Blue Baggers by 38 points. A little bit more optimistic from last week, but I think it needs to be done. Yes, we're playing at Adelaide Oval, but if we're realistic and we're serious about this side, that needs to be done, if not more.
Yeah.
Well said, mate. Yeah, that'd be great to see Gov. The goal of halfback, probably the better one there. What you just mentioned, but yeah, that'd be absolutely massive. Ethan?
Yeah, I am very excited for this game. It's actually my first interstate trip as a Blue Bagger. So Adelaide Oval's been a ground I've always wanted to be at, and hopefully break the hoodoo on Saturday night. First goal for me is Big Tommy DeConning. Obviously, Sammy might have him as his first goal, but he'll touch on that after. But yeah, Big Tommy, he'll take a hanger on top of Jordan Butts, Pato's man. So that'll be good to see. Best on ground, I've got Fish. He's going to have his 30. He's going to announce himself to the football world. I'm Little Fish, but I can make a big impact. For me, it's Carlton by 40, and that is being nice. And lastly, if the Blue Baggers win, there could be daft drinks after win. It could be 100. I could break the
100 Prosecco's, mate. 100 Prosecco's, mate.
I actually didn't put the Prosecco's part. It was the guy with the beanie on this Zoom call. Put it in.
Well, it's probably not wrong either. You don't mind. You do delve into a couple of them, but of course, drink responsibly, everybody out there. I do have first goal Tommy. I think that changes on that. Really does rely on the fact that Pito comes in. Pito doesn't come in, TDK's in that opening bounce, and then Tommy does get our first goal. I was feeling he'll probably not come in for the best part of half the quarter, maybe, but yeah, which is not what we want. But best on ground. I did have Fish last week to deliver the 30-2 for me, but didn't really pull through. I got Cripper this week to do the 30-2 for us. He did it last game against Adelaide. I think it was maybe 33-2, I think, something like that. Blues win by. I got 28 down here. I'm gonna go 38. I think we do put them away. And just touching on that, the VFL as well. Saturday at 2:05 p.m. We're playing against Williamstown. I realistically think. Combined, we can win by 100 points, the seniors and the twos. Williamstown, they're not the team they once were.
Is it at Willie?
Still asking questions I don't have the answer to, mate.
It's at Willie. It's the windiest ground in Australia.
Yeah, it's
windy, isn't it? It's windy.
It's so bad. I think you could probably go back and make a few TikToks out of a few of the things we've said today. We would cop a lot of hate.
To be honest, I've actually got a TikTok made of me about Collingwood, so hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt me.
Absolutely, check that one out too. Yeah, I do know the one you're talking about. It does pop up on there every now and again when I stumble onto the application, which is not too often. It is at Williamstown Oval as well, and yeah, which it does blow a gale. So a few points scored, but 100 points between the seniors and the twos is Sam's big call for the week.
Sam's big call. That might be a segment moving forward, Sammy. Sam's big
call. Get out Speechley. What is it? Speak up Speechley. Bring in Sam's big call. He's going really well. I haven't seen him in a while. He's back in Victoria and from his little trip away from Cairns. He's going well. We haven't seen him in a while, but hopefully he's back come finals time because realistically, everyone will want to be on this podcast come finals time, because we will be going very, very deep into September. And he's going well, and sends his best wishes to everyone, and is appreciative of the support.
He is a final specialist, I've heard. The young Speechley.
Well, I've seen him play footy, and he's not very good throughout this year, and he's not very good. So, he might turn it on come September. But we love your speech, and hope you well. Well, that's about it, boys. Anything else we wanted to touch on? Caleb Marchbank, don't expect him to play seniors this week, but another player that's going to be bidding for that best 22, or he's in the best 22 if he's definitely fit. But look, he played very well in the VFL last week, and we expect him to get down to Williamstown Oval and put on another great performance. But anything else you want us to add, boys?
Just lock in finals. I want to be singing the national anthem before a Carlton game this year. That's all I'm going to say.
God, how good would it be? Like, let's hope we get a home final as well. Let's hope.
Yep.
Let's hope.
Top 4. Why can't we? Why can't we?
Absolutely, mate. Look, Melbourne they're still a good team. They're a good team, but they're a bit. I think realistically we can. I don't think we'll win every game for the rest of this year, but we can beat every team.
Big game Friday night, Freo, Melbourne. So
probably ripper.
Wouldn't mind a Freo loss, to be honest, because Freo have only half a game ahead. So if we win that game, go above them, top 4's on, baby.
Absolutely. We can win every game for the rest of this year. All right, boys, that is about it. Thank you for watching, listening. Pato, as always, mate.
And as always, boys, help the baggers.